everybody, and welcome to the last melodrama of our second week of Christ Central. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this melodrama here entitled Caveheart. This is the story of the disobedience of Saul. All right. We begin this story with Saul, all alone on the stage. Saul's all alone. Hint, hint. All right. Long ago, in a faraway land where people spoke with very bad Scottish accents, there was a mighty king who ruled over the nation of Israel. His true name was Saul, but storytellers from the old country simply call him Caveheart. He was strong. He was handsome. He was tall in stature, and he spoke with a suspicious Scottish accent. In fact, when he wasn't busy being king, he would practice speaking standard Scottish phrases with an accent. Phrases like, "Aye, bonny lassie."
"Oi, bonny lassie."
And, "Aye, 'tis a lovely morning."
"Oi, 'tis a lovely morning."
And, "'Tis a cool kilt you're wearing, dude."
"'Tis a cool kilt you're wearing, dude."
And, "Sorry, Captain, but we're out of dilithium crystals."
"Sorry, Captain, we're out of the lithium crystals."
That's a Star Trek reference for those who don't know. In many ways, Saul was a great man with many gifts, but he had one very serious problem. Well, actually two, counting the accent. He was not willing to fully give himself to God. Sometimes he was very serious about his commitment, praying to God on behalf of his people. Other times, he was so divided in his heart that he'd rave inside his house, running around, screaming, rolling around on the floor, counting backwards from 10, and worst of all, foaming at the mouth. No, you can't see it, but imagine Caveheart there's foaming at the mouth. Just lots of white foam. His servants worried about him so much that they brought in a minstrel to play music and soothe his mind. Ah, there's our minstrel. The minstrel played and sang Saul's favorite Scottish tune, "My bonny lies over the ocean."
My body lies over the ocean. My body lies over the sea. My body lies over the ocean. So bring back my body to thee.
Yep, just like that. Beautiful. Sometimes Caveheart would clap and sing along to the minstrel. Other times, he would weep like a baby. Still other times, he'd rave with anger. Even one time, he threw a spear at the minstrel right in the middle of the song, "Pass It On." But the minstrel dodged the spear and just kept singing. Yep, just keep singing. We don't know the song "Pass It On," so the minstrel probably just kept singing "My Bonny Lies Over the Ocean." So once Caveheart was on the battlefield. Imagine, it's a flashback. Flashback to Caveheart on the battlefield, encamped with the army of Israel. He majestically looked over the battlefield and furrowed his brow as he thought of his people. How majestic is Caveheart? Look at that. Look at that face. Such majesticness. His people just happened to be sitting near him, warming their hands around the campfire. Where are all these people at the campfire? Oh, I see one. Oh, I see two. Is there another? Oh, I see three. Everybody, let's all pretend to warm our hands around the campfire, kids. We're warming our hands. And everybody was singing Kumbaya or making funny armpit noises, you know, like where they go like this or whatever. So they just sing Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. You know how the song goes. And then someone started singing the song "Pass It On," which nobody knows. But King Saul gave him a dirty look and reached for his spear, and it all stopped. Good, because we don't know the song anyways. So. As he stood there giving dirty looks and majestically looking over the battlefield, all at once, that man, wow, so talented, he announced the bad news. "People, we've been surrounded by the army of the Philistines."
"People, we've been surrounded by the army of the Philistines."
"I fear they will attack. We're history."
I fear they will attack. What history?
Oh no, but did the people worry? No, they did not. They just kept warming their hands and singing Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. In fact, they sang it with even more feeling now. Someone's history, Lord. Kumbaya. Someone was even starting to make hand motions to the song, interpreting it. How would you do Kumbaya? Kumbaya, my lord. Or someone's history, Lord. I don't know. You come up with your own interpretive hand motions for that song. And then everything around the campfire was hushed. No swaying, no kumbayaing, just silence. For Samuel, the prophet of God, had arrived with a word from the Lord for Saul. Saul, your history.
Saul, your history.
You've been surrounded by the army of the Philistines.
You've been surrounded by the army of the Philistines.
Those around the campfire began humming Kumbaya again. So they're just swaying and humming. Samuel then gave Saul some very important instructions. The Lord will give you victory, but you must do as I say.
The Lord will give you victory, but you must do as I say.
Do not fight the Philistines before I first offer a sacrifice to the Lord.
Do not fight the Philistines before I first offer a sacrifice to the Lord.
And with that, Samuel the prophet left the camp. Bye, Samuel. See you soon. For 7 long days, Saul and the army of Israel waited on God, surrounded by the Philistines, who were edging ever closer. By this time, the people around the campfire were on verse 35,647 of Kumbaya, but they were fatigued by now. Ugh. Can you guys pretend to be tired like everybody else?
Kumbaya.
Yeah, they're so tired of singing Kumbaya. They even got to the verse that said, someone speaking Scottish poorly, Lord. Kumbaya. I think that's King Saul, but that's just me. Saul was twiddling his thumbs, rubbing his head, cracking his knuckles, making popping noises with his finger in his mouth, too. I can hear it a little bit. It's a little pop. They waited 7 long days, and Samuel still hadn't come back. They kept singing, twiddling, rubbing, waiting, but still no Samuel. What are they going to do, guys? Finally, Caveheart could take it no more. He screamed out with a bad Scottish accent, "We can't wait another day, Captain."
We can't wait another day, Captain.
It won't be long before the whole thing blows over.
It won't be long before the whole thing blows over.
Don't choke on your words there, Samuel. Or
Saul.
Yeah, you're Saul. My bad. Excuse me. You guys remembered who he was. I didn't, but it's okay. We've got to attack those Klingons. I mean Philistines.
We've got to attack those Klingons. I mean Philistines.
Another Star Trek reference. And he quickly ordered the people around the fire to prepare a burnt offering, just as Samuel commanded. All right, people around the fire, let's prepare a burnt offering. Whatever that is, grab an animal. They typically killed the animal and then offered it up to God. Yep. But against Samuel's instructions, Saul offered the sacrifice himself, pronouncing the ritual words, red are the roses, wild the gales.
Red are the roses, wild the gales.
But please keep these Philistines from kicking our tails.
But please keep these Philistines from kicking our tails.
No sooner had he offered the sacrifice than Samuel strode back into camp. Everyone stopped moving. No twiddling, no singing, total quiet as they looked at the anger on Samuel's face. He grabbed Saul by the arms and said, "What have you done here?"
What have you done here?
Saul replied, "Your honor, the Philistines had us surrounded."
Your honor, the Philistines had us surrounded.
My troops were starting to desert me.
My troops were starting to desert me.
You had not come back, and I was sick of that singing.
You had not come back, and I was sick of that singing.
He started to sob. Through his sobs, he said, "So I forced myself to offer the burnt offering."
So I forced myself to make the burnt offering.
Samuel looked him straight in the eye and said, "Do you think the Lord wants your phony worship?
Do you think the Lord wants your phony worship?
Do you think he wants you to be religious instead of obedient?
Do you think he wants you to be religious instead of obedient?
Do you really think he even likes kumbaya?"
Do you think he even likes kumbaya?
When they heard that, the people around the fire began humming, "My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean." These people like to sing a lot, guys. Do you like to sing? Saul hung his head in shame, for he knew he had been a fool. Poor Caveheart the fool. God would have protected Israel, but Saul had grown impatient. Instead of keeping his eyes on the promise of God and trusting in God, Saul watched the Philistines surround him. Instead of obeying God, King Caveheart caved in to the crowd. The end. Yay! Give an applause for all these wonderful actors. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, guys, and we will see you next week with another set of melodramas. Bye, guys!